Are you able to hear me, Dama?
I can hear you.
Yeah. Sound. You are able to hear me, no? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. On behalf of management of PRATHYUSHA Engineering College and the Innovation Council, NISP and EDC, I cordially invited all the participants for the today's event. Been accomplished professional in telecom and IT industries with over with many customers across the globe: Airtel, Vodafone, Arcom, Telenor, Verizon, Singtel, Maxis, Detach, KPN, Telefonica, and Etisalat. It's a few I'm saying you. He has been leading the cloud data center and system integration and software sales for Nokia across cloud architecture transformation, complex integrations in core and applications. Prior to Nokia, he was with Tech Mahindra, wherein he set up the network service business unit as a challenger to OEMs and grew it more than $500 MN business in 4 years. Prior, Sounder holds a master degree in engineering from the College of Engineering Madras and an MBA in International Business of Nottingham Business School, UK. He has also a master's diploma in program management from Stevens Institute of Technology, USA. He is currently pursuing a fellow in management from Nottingham Trent University, UK. So I ask the students to make the lecture useful to you, and you can even ask for you both as an entrepreneur and as well as an innovator. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you can carry on, sound. I have given the thing. So you can
Okay.
carry on with the presentation. Yeah? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, friends, all over the video conference. And thank you, first of all, Dr. Padma, for organizing this one. And it's a bit unfortunate that I could not come over there for a face-to-face meeting, which you have been asking for quite some time. But nevertheless, I think let's use this opportunity to have more interactive session on this one. And it's my privilege to be part of this discussion and also share my views as well as thoughts and experience on what we have been doing in Nokia, as well as generally about what I bring in across through my career. During the course of this discussion, please feel free to stop me if you have any questions or so. So we'll just keep it more interactive and try to be closer to as much as possible on your current expectations as well as what you plan as your career going forward. So am I audible?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, Sound, you are audible. Audible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So in during the discussions, if there is any audio issues, just please stop me or just send an SMS so I don't talk, without you having in the bridge. Okay, so today's session welcome you all, and I believe that there are students from all across the specializations branch of engineering, as well as all the years, and hence I hope you find this one useful. I will just talk about the best practices in innovation ecosystem, and if you just touch upon the innovation as such, it's an important and interesting topic all across the schools, not only in just colleges and also in companies, because this is something that you will continue to carry this across your entire career, not those just only limiting to the R&D. And we'll see some of those things in a bit in detail. And further, the digital age that has made the research labs, classrooms, and offices much closer than ever. And they made the innovation more seamless across the borders, people, and time zones. So, gone are the days that you need to have some specific laboratory and then do the research on that one. But digital age has changed everything on this one. So, and then plenty of resources available to you all, not only just in India, but then globally. And also we'll just share some of my thoughts around that one and how the digital era is enabling and then making the innovation ecosystem more powerful and opening up opportunities for you all. So let's just look at so let's look at some of the disruptive innovations that are driving the global business transformation, because innovation is measured only through what impact it has on the society and also what impact that has on the businesses. Otherwise, innovation just remain as a patents, and then it is not utilized in terms of its implementation into the normal life of people or the normal society's usage. So it is an focus area for both established companies as well as startups, because this is something is that where you'll have to sustain the competitiveness and then customer intimacy. And then today, if you just look at that one, then almost like 63% of the companies are poised for disruptions and in terms of innovation. And then another 44% is looking to see that one in the near future. So, and this is one of the reports from Accenture. And then beyond that one, you also might have seen sometime back, John Chambers, the Cisco's chairman, has mentioned about, in 10 years down the line, nearly 40% of the companies that exist today will not be there, just because they fail to embrace the disruptive innovations that is happening in the market. So hence, it is an important part as part of the company's life cycle. And let's see some of the areas, where it has made changes. For example, let's talk about 3D printing. And then this is actually started as just like a printing topic, and then today it has just gone to an 26 billion by next year or so, and this is further growing up exponentially. And then you might have seen in the recent past, Larsen and Toubro has made a house in 3D printing in very much in India itself, and then that they have exhibited. So which is something is that which you can't think of few years earlier. Similarly, for the on the property buying market, gone are the days that you take time to find your property and then do the negotiations, put the price, and then agree upon, and then do the legalization, etc. But today, for as far as the corporates are concerned, or at least the companies are concerned, nearly 93% of the business leaders feel that the real estate organizations need to engage with the prop tech kind of companies. Some of you are aware of this prop tech, which essentially what does it do is that bringing across a buyer instantly to the large pool of data that they have as far as the property market is concerned. This is a small application, and it is still not there in many of the countries, but then it is quickly evolving. And then with the current COVID situation, this is actually becoming more important, because you are just looking at short-term office requirements, short-term housing requirements, short-term hotel requirements, and then stuff like that. So and then it becomes a really important one as you move forward. And then this is actually a what it does is that it reduces the time taken to get into in a property discussion. And then finally is the sports. Some of you heard about the esports, and this is actually few years before when the FIFA and rest of the popular sports has been put into esports. It just started as in a video game, and then today it is a huge market. I mean, today it's close to around $1.5 billion market this year, and it is just going to go double digit year over year. And also, in fact, in Q4 itself, this exponentially grown just because of the COVID situation, and then also the interest shown by the younger generation to do online football matches. So for example, you can just go and then buy a player, and then you can just be in a virtual stadium, as some of you would have watched how the IPL has happened this year, and then extend this one for FIFA as well, which has been going in the similar way for a while now. And then so almost everything is virtualized, and then you can just bring in the players also more in a virtual way. So that's an important market that is growing across. So what basically is happening is that all across the industries, be it the printing, construction industry, or the property industry, or the sports gaming industry, is pretty much the disruptive innovation is driving their growth and then sustainability. Let's just look at what is this disruptive innovation. And of course, some of you have gone through the academics in management, and then would have come across Professor Clayton Christensen, who has coined the word in the 90s, where it has become virtually ubiquitous from Wall Street to Silicon Valley. The disruptive innovations not necessarily are breakthrough technologies that makes a product better or so, but then it's innovations that make the products and services more accessible and affordable, and then making it available to a larger population. That is what we call it as a disruptive innovation. And then we'll just some of disruptive innovations that has happened in the industry, where the big companies actually fail to see them, be it in the area of digital photography, which actually completely changed the photo industry, or be it in the communication industry on the mobile telephony, or for that matter in the computer science with mini computers, etc., and also in the consumer goods. So these are some of the examples of how the disruptive innovation has changed the market and also has changed the companies itself. What does it mean is that in a scale of performance versus time, the disruptive technology is an exponential factor, wherein the normal time taken for bringing across an innovation is actually provided in a very short period of time. At the same time, it also gives an exponentially higher performance. So that means that you are getting more value for your money, and that is what is actually disruptive innovation brings in across. And then there are two ways to look at that one. One is that a product, where you are introducing in a product, or you are providing a service which is completely different from how it has been delivered today. For example, in the logistics, so gone are the days that people want to use the conventional couriers and others for this one. Today you just get everything. If you order anything on Amazon, and then it just comes in across in a much quicker way. I mean, there are earlier days of the post office based deliveries or courier based deliveries. Those are all overtaken by the speed with which Amazons and eBays are delivering the goods to you. I mean, tomorrow it may also become drone based deliveries once those regulations are complete. So those are the kind of differentiation that disruptive innovations makes between performance and the time. And of course, there are many examples on this topic. I would really encourage the book written by The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen, which is a good read. And I think you have more information about how the concept of disruptive innovation has been created in that context. So I will just, unfortunately, I thought it will be more as a face-to-face meeting, but then I did this over the call. Do you recognize the guys on the on the picture? Anybody from the audience?
Saravanan Brothers.
Hello. Yes, absolutely, fantastic. So, and they have been the inventors of the Go Dimensions, which is actually one of the few startup companies which has come up very quickly and then has also made into the global 100 startup companies that has made the headlines in the last couple of years. And they are the Kumaran brothers, Sanjay and Shravan, who is the president and CEO. What they have done is actually they made the apps for various applications, right from education, from gaming, from from e-learning and various apps, and they just continue to develop this one. So it's just simple Android based and then also iOS based applications that they started developing, combining with the use cases. And that's one of the closer to home disruptive innovation that these guys have done. I mean, they are just only less than 18 years old. Let me just bring in across what is the blue ocean strategy. Of course, we spoke about the disruptive innovation. Now we'll just talk about a bit on the blue ocean strategy. The idea of this discussion is to give you a flavor of what the kind of innovations that makes really visibility in the market, and then what the kind of innovations that the investors and then the companies are looking for. So you are able to maneuver and then understand what the basic context and then what is the basic objectives of an innovation should deliver to the users, to the community, to the stakeholders, etc. So you actually get an economic value of the innovation, because at the end of it, an innovation should have a value. Otherwise, then it just remains a patent and nobody uses for ages. So in the innovation industry itself, only 10 to 20% of the patents or the innovations have a commercial value or value to the society, and hence you should be really choose the way in which you want to do the innovations, because the first set of innovations would be more towards research and laboratories, and then which is actually is not bringing across any of the commercialization, but then remains as a as an academic innovation. So let's just look at what is the blue ocean strategy. And then many of the radical innovations, be it in the automobiles or electronics, airways, TV, home videos, mobile phones, mini computers, these are all first targeted towards affluent segment. And then with the technology advancement and process innovation, value innovation was pursued, and as a result of which the price was reduced, and then the utility of a new segment of customers was enhanced. So that means that the more value for money that you are getting on this one. And the first version of these radically new products, which command formation of blue ocean, what we call it as, of the heavy investment in research and development, very expensive and affordable by high-end consumers only. So and this actually, the blue ocean strategy or the disruptive innovation actually changes those perception and then brings those products into mass market with low cost and high value. And then let's see some of those types of innovation that has happened in the market, including the radical innovation as well as hybrid value innovation, and then what we call as a frugal innovation also, right? So some of you are familiar with IKEA, how it changed the market in the furniture market, which actually adapted a low cost and a differentiator strategy. I mean, today, if you just look at markets like in the UK, while I was in India, I always used to go and then find out a carpenter and then find out somebody to make some good furnitures for us. But then in here, there is no carpenter industry as such, or there is no customized industry, which is actually very, very minimal, maybe just less than 1%. But the entire industry is dominated by IKEA, where you can just go and then buy the entire household furniture just in a click of a button. You can design your own, and then you can just assemble it on your own. It's easy to fit. I have done myself so many assemblies at my home, and that's actually changed the face of the entire way in which we do the furnishings at home as well as in offices. And then they just included a hybrid approach where the low cost as well as high quality plus the deliveries to the customers are self-handled. So that means that I just go buy from the shop and I just put it across in my car and then drive, because those are all assemblable and then small parts. Similarly, on the Formula One hotels, Accor hotels, which actually gives an across a clean and then simple rooms, and then for affordable travelers. And the another example is in FedEx, which is actually, it's just combines in a cost versus value, and then both in terms of the inverse value of low cost and then high value part of it. And then the interesting example back home is about frugal innovation, which Tata Nano has produced, which actually brings in across the cheapest car in the world. And then it also includes the financial resources that is needed to do that one. So we actually did that one based upon frugal engineering that led to a frugal innovation. So it's in a complete ecosystem that the Tata Nano has created, not only the manufacturing part, but then the entire supply chain as well as the spare parts, and then the whole ecosystem has been created for this one. And hence, for such an innovation, the ecosystem also becomes important, because you don't want to have the innovation stuck up just because that you can't have a supporting ecosystem, be it in terms of the spare parts, be it in terms of serviceability, and be it in terms of long-term life commitments. So ecosystem becomes an important part. And then the last one is that there are also some of the startups. What you see here is one is Zomato, which is one of the unicorn startups in India. And also same with Urban Farmer, which is actually does the farming methodologies. Will just come later in the discussion, one of those applications as well. So there are a lot of companies that has just gone through this cycle, be it Dr. Batras or Shanaz Hussain or Kenan, which is again completely brought the way to do the photocopying aspects, as well as on eliminating the need of technician to operate the machine, and then we all just can go on and do it ourselves. So it gives a mix of every company in this chart has chosen different ways to reach the end goal, and hence this is actually called as a blue ocean strategy. The fundamental remains on this one is where you are able to show value in your innovation. That is the bottom line. And let's just look at one of the other area. I mean, how we have to keep the the innovation goal as simple as possible. And this is one thing, is that what is known as BAG, which is behavior dash goal. And then this is actually a an outcome based solution. So in simple words. And if you just see the examples that are shown there on this one, some of the great companies of the day, they started with a simple BAG many decades ago, and then that has actually helped them to shape up the dream. So you take a problem statement and then develop your innovation around that one, or try to solve that problem, and that will just lead to an innovation. And if you just look at some of the companies that are there, be it the JFK or the Microsoft, I mean, it just took a simple problem statement which will solve the issues or the challenges in the society or in the community or in the technology area for years to come. And then that is what the keeping it as the BAG, very simple. And then there are some companies, not some companies, many of the companies actually follow this one for various applications, even within the existing life cycle also. So it can be a new product, new innovation, or it can be improving some of the things which is already existing. But the fundamental of making a BAG success is conceptualize it, you test it, and then commit to it. So and use the framework that I just mentioned in the earlier slide to make sure that you have a clear end outcome that has a value and that has a long-term ecosystem to support. So let's look at one of the other areas where the digital ecosystem, I mean, in today's world, if I just don't talk about the digital ecosystem and then digital innovation, it will be not sufficient, or it will not be completing my discussion on this topic. And then how the digital platforms becomes an inherent part of your innovation, and without which you can't really deliver any other things successfully. Gone are the days where you can just bring one standalone innovation and then try to put it across in the market. But in the digital era, it is important that you integrate any of your innovations to the digital platforms, and then also get the benefit of economics of scale as well as commercialization with the users. What you see on the left hand side, innovation ecosystem or innovation factory, this represents the user groups or the communities or the individuals. I mean, say for example, these are the creative professionals like you in today or in future. That is what in the left hand side blue box actually shows up. Let me just see if I can use my. Okay, so this is the innovation factory, or the innovation startup, or the individuals, or the groups. And then this actually, this the on the right hand side, what you see in the middle one, the platform, the digital platform provides a share of knowledge, resources, skills, and they are considered to be the incubator ecosystem, which is actually key for the digital innovations. Today, if you just look at in many of the European telecom operators, be it Deutsche Telekom or Telefonica, they actually support close to around 200, 300 innovators for one specific topic. Just take a simple topic of automation or an artificial intelligence applicable to telecom networks. They support more than 200, 300 innovators. And then those actually innovators or the professionals, or the creative professionals, what we call it as, they just operate on a simple laptop, and then there is no infrastructure whatsoever it is. They bring in across their laptops, they plug into Deutsche Telekom or Telefonica or Vodafone's ecosystem in the defined framework, and then they just develop their applications, test their applications, and then deliver it. And then what they get is actually an access to the network part of it. I mean, I'm just talking about the telecommunication because I much know about telecom rather than any other subject. So and it helps them to access to some kind of passive data also from the network. Otherwise, in other situations, you won't be able to do that one. That is what we call it as a platform. And this applies not only for telecom, but then it applies to the other platform vendors also. Maybe, for example, Amazon or Google. So AWS, for example, in India, provides a platform for startups in education, where they can just customize the content for primary school students and then bring it across the characters in the books, which is closely related to them. Say, for example, you can build the character in a book with incorporating your family members, and then that makes the education and then the reading as well as learning much easier for primary school students, especially in a situation like this where we can't go to the school. So that's an example of Amazon, or for that matter any of the education related platforms. On the right hand side of the diagram represents the business development side of the ecosystem. So this actually gives them access to the consumers and then commercialization part of it. And then this also brings in across the investors and then members who are interested in taking up your concept of your innovation to the next level. This is where the crux of commercialization of your innovation comes in across. So this is an important ecosystem to understand that one, where you understand what is the internal path to the market, and then what is the internal path to the incubation. So the incubation is done by the platforms, and then where you get the support, and then the market is supported by the business development ecosystem. And then there are 4 stages in terms of how it goes in across, which you should always be aware of. One is you identify the market a failure or a problem statement or a challenge. As I mentioned earlier in the BARC statement, that is more important, and that is what actually trigger for your innovation to come across. Then the second part is that the business value capture, that attracts the potential investors, communities, or users, and then makes you to get the required funding for progressing. Then the third is about the business models, how you'll take it up to the market. And then this is more with the external activities. And then the renewal stage with the maturity of the business, which actually brings in across the whole ecosystem. So, and hence this becomes the important part of the ecosystem in the digital world. Now, some of the companies which has done that one, Amazon, eBay, Apple, everything went into the same mode. Of course, the fundamental principles applies to each and every startup that is happening today. And then you are all, looking forward to become an entrepreneur, to solve many problems in the world, to solve the direction to the future. And hence, you need not to bother about, whether it is happened only in Amazon or eBay, but then they all started as a small companies, right? Uh, and then let's come into the standardization part. While you are doing that one, it is important that you also remember that the standardization is something that key for adapting to various markets. If you're just looking to do an innovation that will apply to for a global problem or a global challenge, or a national or a local challenge, and hence standardization is something is that you should always strive for. I mean, I am a standards guy, and I always ensure that large amount of standardization happens in whatever that I do, and that is always helped me in my career, be it in a formal work or an informal work. So what you look at here is about where you should look for some of the guidance on the standardization, and specifically in areas of open source based innovations or digital solutions or ICT. This actually brings in across a lot of complexity to the innovation ecosystem, right? So you can have standards like the ISO, W3 or IEEE or 3GPP or HC, and of course there are many other standards also in many other industries, but fields. These all need to be compliant when you are doing the innovations from time to time. And in many of the countries, the non-standard innovations, these are not successful, guys. I mean, it's actually brings in across many vulnerabilities to the existing technology, because nobody wants to expose their proven technology that are compliant to standards to a non-standard innovation, right, which is not compliant to any standards, especially with the concerns today on the security as well as on the cyber security aspects, as well as vulnerabilities that foreign forces open up in your networks. I just talk about only again on the network side. It's an important concept. So is an important requirement, and hence many of the technology domains, especially on the communication side, do not encourage any of the innovations that are not standard, that are not compliant to that one. For example, in GDPR today, there are many web hosting happening from India cannot have access to the European customers because they just don't comply to GDPR, and that is actually a non-negotiable one. So if I just want to look at any of the .in portal from sitting in UK, and I will just immediately get a flash on my screen saying that, hey, this is not compliant to GDPR, so don't access this site. And this also comes in across from the web host as well, that we are not compliant to GDPR. And this is actually, if you want to access any of the European market, or for that matter, many countries in Asia as well as in the US, so you have to consider that in your scheme of things. And and in fact, some of the advanced countries, for example, in Germany or in France, they also have developed their own cybersecurity compliances. French has an ANSI standards, which is actually very tough for the telecommunication products to comply. And then similarly, various other standards from time to time, they keep evolving. So when you are adapting to digital technologies and lifestyles in wireless areas, wireless technologies, that has a very high requirements of reliability, robustness, and then policy and regulatory compliance, it will just only make this requirement more important in future as well. And I have just indicated some of the challenges that we see in the industry. And then what is important is that you have a common understanding of innovation and its concept, and a common practice of innovation, fostering innovation capabilities, performance, effectiveness of the process, and then integrate sustainable development issues, and then coherent with the compliances to the ISO standards as well as any of the domestic standards. So that actually gives a view of the standardization part of it. And let's just go into a bit of FutureX networks, and also before that one we'll just touch upon the Bell Labs. So as some of you know, Nokia Nokia's R&D, or the technology brain power, is coming from Bell Labs, which was acquired some years ago, and that has actually many patents, many Nobel Prize awardees, many Emmy Awards dignitaries in the industry. So from the early 20s, right from the innovation of electron diffraction on the material science, then went up to Alexander Graham Bell's journey, plus also in many areas that is actually contributed indirectly to the communication and the rest of the industries, mainly on materials as well, on physics and optics. And then 60s are the when 1950s and 60s are the radio communication started in terms of microwaves, and then high-end optical routers. Then the telecom services started mainly for the OSS and BSS areas, that is with the Unix, and then C++, and then C language invention in the late 60s. Then 70s and 80s, mainly digital electronics and semiconductors and devices, and then mainly laser cooling, and then fractional quantum Hall effect. These are the two awards. Then in the 90s and 2000, mainly on enabling the capacity for the copper and the fiber. So we have announced a lot in terms of what the capacity of the copper and fiber can handle without impacting the tons of copper that is actually exist in India, as well as in some other countries where there's an extensive copper connectivity has been established as part of the BSNL as well as state telecom companies. And then the invention of mobility comes in across in the cellular network in the 90s and then early 2000, and then the cloud networks, and then visualization that is actually driving things right now. So it actually has an array of inventions. Most of it are breakthrough, and then that has actually contributed to the society, contributed to the technology growth, as well as how we see the life. I will just touch upon a bit on the what the impact of these innovations in the telecom industry, and then if in the in the initial stages, it is pretty much the connectivity reaching up to the people, and then once those connectivity has been established, then it has become more as how we handle the data. So if you just look at the Googles or the eBays or Netflix, what you see here is that the amount of data that is now being handled by these networks, and then it has just started from typical of 0.2 petabytes per month, and then now we are actually talking about 80,000, 100,000, and even more than that one actually now. And then from the projection of where it was, it is somewhere close to about 4.3 zettabytes per year. So basically what it does mean is that you have huge amount of data that is coming in across both in the networking as well as in the connectivity, and actually that becomes a trigger to get to know about the lifestyles, and get to know about the communities, get to know about the various ecosystem that is surrounding us, and then how we interact, and then how we use those. And this is actually opens up wealth of opportunities for us to go and work. I will just touch upon a bit on the phase of industrialization that has happened, and then also how it has helped us to reach up to this one. So the days of financial revolution, as well as the first industrial revolution, plus the scientific technical ones, which is analog, and the digital signal processing, which we have spoke about just now, and then currently we are in the information and then automation related innovations or the world. And some of the aspects that you see on this slide, be it on the wireless traffic, or on the video traffic, or in terms of the public cloud objects, or the number of things, basically the IoT related devices, be it the sensors or the cameras or whatsoever it is, and also in terms of increase in the data. So this actually brings in a composition of large amount of data as well as large amount of information available for all of you to build as well as identify the areas of incubation, areas of topics that you want to drive. I will maybe those who are interested about on the 5G technology, I'll just spend a minute on this one, given the time that we are already 7 minutes left out. 5G is one of the key technology driver for all the things what we spoke about. You will still have many opportunities coming across in India when the government opens up the spectrum this year, and then where the trials will start. Going by the experience of what 5G has done in markets like Japan, Korea, or US or China, it has actually created a lot of entrepreneurship, a lot of opportunities for the people to go and then develop applications in a 5G network, because this is where the more closer interaction between the communities and the technology will happen in future, and this actually opens up a lot of opportunities for you all. And it is important that you start thinking about it is not only just only a telecommunication topic. I'll just come in a minute about how this can bring various industries, right from agriculture or from construction industry or healthcare towards a communication based approach, because that is where the data actually interconnects the people as well as what they do in their day-to-day activities. Some of them, be it on the healthcare and then wellness, then the robotics, and then connected auto ambulances, telemedicines through IoT, and then wearables, and then that's for use for diagnostics, security and surveillance. So this is again security in trains and bus stations and the airports, which is actually a major topic today. And then that helps in crowd management in large countries like ours. Drone-based surveillance systems for crowd control, and then public security, emergency services. Then in the smart energy, smart grid, smart city. Then in the mobility, transportation, intelligent speed adaptation and control. The government is just put across now some of the GPS-based approaches, and then driverless cars, etc. has been tested in countries like UK. And Industry 4.0, and this is going to be in a major part of this one. And today in World Economic Forum, as well as in established bodies which is actually supporting Industry 4.0, there are many Indian companies, many Indians are driving those innovations. And then I think that's actually should give enough of confidence to all the young entrepreneurs, all young students like yourself, and also future innovators like yourself have absolutely good comfort level and confidence to go and then look at be the process automation or the smart station advertising, collaborative robots for Industry 4.0, smart factory applications, smart agriculture, shopping experiences, and then drones. This pretty much covers everything that you name it: education, learning, entertainment, and then also in digital divide. So it opens up a wide variety of options, what I spoke earlier about the blue ocean strategy. But it is important you actually are able to pick up something which will solve some of the problems and challenges, and also bring in across the economic value and then valuation. So let's see one of the smart agriculture use cases. So this is actually what we have done in India, in Maharashtra. This is actually an agricultural productivity use. Because there are many parameters, right? So the cultivable land and then water scarcity, etc., are driving more productive usage in agriculture, be it the land fertility aspects, or the grain product per acre, or the ability to change the crop nature. And then these are all the parameters where the technological solution also bring in across. So which is actually goes into solving some of the problems which are based in IoT based solutions. Say for example, HD imaging, or air quality measurements, or the moisture measurements, or rainfall measurements, sunlight and spectral imaging, surveillance, etc. So these are some of the solutions that has been put across. But the important challenge on this one is that if a farmer wants to have an adaptation to a drone technology, it is the job of the drone technology provider to make sure that it is economically viable for him and then create a business model. That is where the challenge comes in across. And I think so. These all something is that why I'm sharing is that is this is all not something PowerPoints only, but things are actually really happening as we speak today. So in Maharashtra, there are many farmers who are using this one along with Vodafone network and then along with the Nokia technology. I also wanted to, when I was talking to Dr. Padma, then she mentioned about some of you are really interested in the application development for mobile phones and also on Android based OS. I wanted to give a bit of view on how this mission critical communications, what you see here. For example, your today's police force, they actually use the Tetra network, which is actually not really good for data communication, but still you can just enhance that one. And also in your railway networks, right? So there is a GSMR already deployed in close to around 20,000 kilometers in with Indian Railways, but hardly anybody uses that one just because there are not enough of applications running on these special devices. That is actually what we call it as Tetra devices, what you see in the photograph, in the PowerPoint. So these devices need some custom applications to be built, which are in Android based applications. And then your customers can be Indian Railways or any of the state railways. So those are all the ones which actually need those requirements. And then same for the police force, as I mentioned. And I just move on to the next part of it. So where this comes in across, and then how you can do that one. Be it the visor part or the body cameras or drones or handheld devices and sensors, and then vehicular motion, specialized wearables. This is all specifically for for your riot control and then other police forces. You can just develop some of these applications very easy, and then very simple, and then very easily can provide some of the solutions to the existing problems, be it in the health and the medical applications, transport, traffic management applications. It can be a potential source for the police, the traffic police who are standing on this one. There are many traffic polices who are hit and run cases happening in the industry. So you actually do today rely upon a CCTV, but then the specialized wearables can be more closer, because that gives a 360-degree view of how the traffic police sees from locally standing in the middle of the traffic. Similarly, for education applications, aerodynamic studies and applications, and also some other surveillance. So I just wanted to give some small part, but then it really makes a big value to the community, to the economy. And the development part, and then this is actually the OS device encryptions that you make, be it as email encryption, because the public safety is going to be an important topic in future. And then India will open up for the spectrum, radio spectrum for public safety networks very soon. That will actually open up. Today those are all Tetra networks, and then companies like Motorola actually do the handsets, but then they still look at the local developers and then innovators to do the application part. So this is what the type of things that you can develop, and then you can just do a security device code or a file system encryption. This is all specifically for public safety network. So and hence the environment is slightly different there. And then tampering detection, application permission, firewalls, etc. So and I think so I have spoken much on the technology part of it, and then what the opportunities, but then let me also touch upon a bit on who finances innovation. So what you see on this one typically is that how the company matures, and then what's the position of funding in the company's capital structure. So every company goes through this cycle of seed capital, early stages, expansion, later stage growth, and then mature. And then there are two financing mechanism happens. One is a traditional financing mechanism, another is a new financing mechanism. And then of course I will not go into the details, but then what I wanted to mention is that apart from the public support schemes or any of the innovation investments, market-based mechanism, those are all traditional ones. Today in the new financing mechanism, corporate venturing, IP related marketplace, microfinancing, crowdfunding, and technology solutions, these are all some of the things which is very important and which you should know, so you are able to seek these funds when you need. I'll probably skip this slide. So I'm sure that when I was talking to Dr. Padma, she mentioned about some of you already working closely on the iSpirit, which is actually a passionate project for me as well. And then also some of you would have had heard about this India Stack. So these are all two, important projects that India is earmarked. The iSpirit is something is that about how the business about market players and then government entities with the bring this together to on a society collaboration approach to support and then drive innovation, right? So and just to give you a view about this one, so today India is the number three globally after the US and UK for startups, which is actually increasing significantly in the last 3 or 4 years, and close to around 2,300 startups in India and 16 are unicorn. Some of them I have shown in my first slide, like the Urban Farmer or the Zomato. These are all actually in the unicorn startups. And then Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi are leading. Chennai is number six, but there are still many startups in Chennai as well. So that should give more confidence to you to look at how this ecosystem works there. And then the investments are amazing. So there are close to around 58 billion investments in startups in India. 60% from foreign investors, 40% is from the government. So there is a huge ecosystem of funding that is available today. And then finally, close to around 50,000 patents are filed annually in India with a 40% success rate. So 40% success rate is approval or rejection. So we have exactly a very good percentage of success rate, but this is actually still have to go up because that indicates the quality of the patents and also the innovation. And then some of them are goes back to the points that I started up earlier on the standardization and economic value, etc. So once the quality of those objectives becomes better, then the success rate also will go up. And also from a technology perspective, the India stack will be a backbone of the digital communications and the digital ecosystem in India. And hence, whatever that you do with iSpirit or with the India stack is actually the touch point for you. What I mentioned in between about the platform, if you remember in the digital innovation ecosystem, the platform part for you is the India stack and iSpirit at this point in time. I mean, apart from the private entities that are in the Amazons and other areas. So the government is also focusing a lot on driving innovation. So I will not go through into this one because you all know about that one, what the government is doing on the tinkering labs as well as the incubation centers, and then how they are doing that one. You are better, positioned to assess this one beyond me. Final one. So what's the when you discuss about any of these topics, you should just consider the local forces meant for trusted brand relationship. That's an important part if you are just able need to succeed in the local market, in tune with the local culture and economy, and then privacy, and then economies of delivery is basically on the secure part of it. Then if you're just looking at the global part, then is the access to the digital content, and then that's where the standardization comes in across the brand power, because that is one topic where I think current innovators are putting more focus, and then that actually gives a brand power if you work with in any of the ecosystem that I mentioned earlier. Then analytics, and then economies of platform scale if you're becoming a global player. So all is think globally and then work globally. And with that one, I will just come to the last slide on what Socrates mentioned about the secret of change. That is not really to focus on the old, but then literally building on the new. So with that one, I will just stop this one. I think because we are already 7 minutes over time, and I will now take up any question and answers, please.
If you have any questions, please kindly put it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the fantastic lecture, Mr. Sondal. Okay, and what about the international patent laws pertaining to the innovation, sir?
So the patent laws are, there are patent laws, both for country level as well as on international level. So when you start up any of this innovation, you should always see that one first. the patent council or the international patents organization is not already patented any of those things already. So you know about, you are not actually reinventing any of those things which is already happening today. The patent organization in India is where you go and then file your IPR, and then they just take up this one and then run through with the system of evaluation. There is a clear procedure that the Indian government has done for their patent office, and once you just go through that one, understand the guidelines, then you are able to fix that one or get approval for your innovation. As I mentioned, you should have a clear definition for what the purpose and then what the outcome, and then how you are able to show that innovation to them. So that is the key criteria. And then once you pass through that one, then you get an patent award in your name, and then that is actually, you can file that one in multiple countries depending upon where you are doing, because as I mentioned, it is also, once you do that one locally, you also should be able to bring that one across internationally. Either you monetize that one in collaborating with any of the international companies or international players, so you are able to take this through other countries as well.
Perfect. Thank you. And one more question is, of course, not for the service. When you talk about innovative product, are we considering the circular economy altogether?
It is not. You are right. I mean, in a way, it may be a circular economy, but since certainly not in the topics that I have touched upon, because as I mentioned, so if you just talk about the use cases that I mentioned for the 5G, those are all definitely not on any of the circular. These are all, some of them are creating new economies, creating new valuation, creating say for example, Zomato or Urban Farmer. They are actually expanding into new areas of economies. It is actually bringing across new valuation to them. So from that perspective, I think today's innovation in the digital ecosystem will be more an expansive economy rather than circular one.
Thank you.
Any more questions, Ma?
So I have flashed my contact details as well, my Gmail and then also phone number. So in case if you guys have anything in future, so feel free to reach out, and I'll be really happy to help, and then happy to interact with you all. And any other questions from you?
Thank you, Soundra. Thank you very much. Yashwant, can you go with the vote of thanks? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be in front of you, and then I wish you all the best for each one of you, and then have 100% confidence in what you do, and then the future is yours. Looking forward to interact with some of you in future somewhere.
Thank you,
And
Soundra. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I thank Dr. Padma. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you.
Vaikunth. Sorry, Yashwant. Yashwant, hello. You can stop recording and then you can close, pa. Okay, okay, pa. Okay. Thank you. Okay, pa.